There's been a loss in the knife community recently on pure utilitarian blade designs. A lot of companies have been taking ideas from weaponry developed by the common man, utilized in times of guerrilla warfare. These weapons generally tend to just be easier to use because they've had their development, their testing and evaluation, if you want to say, through hundreds of years of hard use in the bush, and when in time of need, when in time of war, they would work very well for that as well, very well for that purpose. One of them being the karambit, obviously. This is just in here as a tactical blade. But the karambit was originally utilized as a farm tool. That's what it was developed for, right? This was developed for being able to cut brush material, get very low to the ground, get majority of your plant matter, and get a lot of it in one swipe. And it works very well for tactical use. The reason I say all this is because recently, Benchmade, one of my favorite knife companies, has come out with a knife that was inspired by the Filipino martial arts, Filipino cutlery, and what it is. Look at this box. Bam. The Jungle Bolo 153 BK from Benchmade. You see what I paid for it there? $110. Look at the size of that box. There it is. Now the Bolo is basically just a Filipino machete. Utilized to clear brush, clear the trail, hack through whatever material you may need to be hacking through. And a lot of companies have been focusing primarily on the tactical aspect of these tools, of these knives. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a karambit that is designed to cut wheat or cut rice. It's not a very common thing. They're out there. You can find them, especially with something like a bolo. It is very easy to find a bolo that is designed for hard use. That is designed for use in the weeds, in the bushes. But it is getting harder and harder to find something like that in this size class. This is 9-inch, got a 9.6 inch blade. Let's get the specs out of the way. 9.69-inch blade. The blade thickness is 0.195 inches. The handle thickness is 0.89 inches, so it's just right underneath an inch. The weight is 11.82 ounces. The overall length is 14.29 ounces. It's 1095 steel. As you can see there, 1095 spring steel. It's an MSRP of $125. It's got a Santoprene orange handle. They temper their 1095 to a 57 to 59 on the Rockwell scale, which I really, really prefer. You'll see some companies out there doing a 1095 at like a 59 to 60, and it's just a little bit too hard, in my opinion. 1095 isn't the best steel to go extremely hard. Well, it is. It's a great overall steel. You can do what you want with it, but it does lend itself to being very nice at just that tiny bit softer rating than something like a 60 on the Rockwell scale, because it has a great shock absorption. It's a very mobile steel. And so that, it's nice that they did that. The balance point on this blade, see if I can find it, is about right there. See if I can actually get this one on camera. It's right there. You can see that? So it's about, I'd say, a little bit less than 3 inches, 2.5 inches in front of the guard, which gives a great ability for hacking. I just uploaded a test video of me in the backyard just kind of hacking away at some tree that I cut down. It works very well. It's got a very good hacking ability in that the weight is in the right spot for the length of the blade. It's not so far out that the knife feels like it's trying to get away from you, but it is enough that it all of the weight is out front. You know what I mean? It falls very, very easily. So it does give that good momentum in the hack, the ability for hacking. You can see that recurve design there that they've done, which gives excellent belly. I mean, belly starts here, and I mean you've got a solid 7 inches of belly on this blade. So that it gives a very nice geometry for any type of slash cutting hacking. The tip, now they do on the Benchmade website, they classify this as an outdoor survival tactical blade. Okay, outdoor survival and tactical. And I really don't see this as a tactical blade. What I was trying to get at before is a lot of knife companies are so focused on the tactical aspect of it. Benchmade didn't do that with this one. Look at this tip. Look at how fat that tip is. I'll get into that sheath in a minute. Piece of crap. You see, I mean, and look at the profile. It's rounded. This is not going to be a very good penetrator. Will it penetrate? Yes. Is it going to do a very good job? No. This is not something that I'm going to be trying to pierce through heavy leather, material with. Some guy's wearing, a gear rig. He's got 3 inches of material even before his skin. This isn't something that I'm going to be wanting to pierce through that with. But for hacking ability, obviously, it does have that ability, but with the bright orange handle, bright orange, relatively small handle, you can see that they weren't trying to be extremely tactical with this design. It wasn't their main intent, which I respect. I really like that. There's just too much focus, especially with Benchmade recently, on tactical. You know what I mean? There's not enough knives out there that are built for use. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's still, there's a lot of them out there, but I don't like saying that there's not that many knives out there built for hard use. There is. I mean, pretty much every good quality knife is going to be designed for hard use, built for hard use. But they give the impression that they're trying for something else, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The dark colors, the serrations on 7-inch blades. You know what I mean? Like, this just gives the impression to me like it's not trying to do that. Yeah, that's the knife. One thing I want to say, Benchmade is my favorite knife company. If you watch any of my channel, you'll probably notice that. I talk about a lot about Benchmades. I use a lot of Benchmades. I really like them. There's a size comparison for you with the Mini Griptilian. But Benchmade designs their knives very, very well. This blade shape, you can tell that, this was an aspect of trial. Sorry about that. Dog's going off on the front door. Like I said, Benchmade does research in their knife designs. They take their time. You can see just this handle is not thrown together. I mean, it's too small. It is too small in my opinion. It needs to be longer, it needs to be wider, there needs to be more girth to it. But the texturing is fantastic. The shape for the ergonomics, it thins out here right on where your pinky would come down. It's a lot thinner than the rest of this edge. It has, you know, that little bit of a swell right here, so you can get a good retraction. You know, it's not a swell necessarily. It's a little bit of a curve, so you got that good purchase on any sort of retracting motion. But what the crap is with Benchmade sheaths? Why can't they make a nice sheath? For as nice as all Benchmade knives are, look at this thing. I mean, I put this knife in here, right? Okay. This thing's going to rock back and forth. Every time it goes forward, it's cutting into the leather right here. I mean, so how long does that have before it just eats through the leather, right? And then when I was actually putting this knife in the store, before I bought it, I was trying to put it back in the sheath. And you see that? I cut this sheath. So I'm an idiot, and I was trying to put it in the wrong way, but I cut the sheath, and it just, look at how much, there's so much ability here for me to damage this sheath. The leather is thin, it's not the highest quality leather, this snap is not mil-spec, it's just, the stitching is done nice, it's a very pretty leather. You know, I like the embossment. Look at this belt clip. It's huge. Look at the size of that belt loop. This thing's going to fly around on your belt. I mean, and look how low it is. Look at this. I mean, it's just, who the hell designs Benchmade sheaths? For as much work and as good as they are at designing knives, fantastic knife. You want to see something crazy? Watch this. There's nothing on my hand. That's leather. That's been happening since I bought this sheath. Since I bought this knife. I've had this knife almost a year now. Look at it. It's just eating away. You know what I mean? It's being eaten by the knife, okay? Again, it's pretty. It's very good looking, right? The only thing locking this blade in, the only retention, is that little bit of leather coming out of the front there. You see that little bit, right? And that holds the blade in. This is a Saddle Mountain Skinner review to be done. But every time I pull this knife in and out, if I don't scrape the back of the spine up against the back of the sheath, then it contacts that little leather patch right there. It makes contact and it cuts it. It cuts a little tiny microscopic amount of material off every single time, resulting in, how many times am I going to be able to do that? How many times am I going to be able to use this sheath and have proper retention? And especially with no strap, you know? Benchmade makes amazing knives. Why can't they design a sheath? Y'all have a good one.